Today's video, we're going to talk about how much should I spend on Google Ads per month or per day. The answer to this is less than you think. The typical person starts out trying to fathom how they're going to do Google Ads by looking at their competitor. Competitor spends, $50,000 a month as it appears on running Google Ads in their business, and they wonder how the hell they can afford to do it. The short answer to that is they can afford to do it because it's bringing in that much sales. But then when they try to do it themselves, it doesn't bring in the sales that the other guy had. And the reality is, the guy who's spending $50,000 a month on ads had started out spending $1,000 a month and then consistently keep reinvesting his money into the higher ad spend, and then built up that ad account over years to build up the data that was necessary to spend $50,000 a month and actually make it pay for itself. If it were that easy to just start up an ad account, spend $50,000 a month, make a few million a year, just with having money in a bank account ready to go, everybody would be doing it. You have to put the time and effort in to build up your account over time. Now, it works every time if you want it to work. That is, if you have an ad that has a higher click-through rate than your competition, higher conversion rate than your competition, and you're competitive in the other areas of your business, pricing, that kind of stuff, it will work every time. It's just a matter of when. And specifically, how much money are you going to have to invest into Google Ads on your starting budget to be profitable, so then you can start that same process of reinvesting your money back into ad spend so that you can be the guy or gal spending $50,000 a month on ads and making a few $1,000,000 a year in sales as a byproduct of that. So what I'm going to go through here is that process of building the account up, and then more importantly, what you came for here, what do you need in your niche business to spend starting out to even get this process even started? The more competitive your business is, and the more money that there is in your market to be made or had by getting ads to work, Google Ads to work in your market, the longer it's going to take and the more money you're going to have to invest into it starting out. Because everything that has value in life, respectively costs a lot of money. If it doesn't cost a lot of money to do, there's not much value there. So if you're in a business that you could make $10 million a year profit if you were to run Google Ads and max it out for your business, of course that's not going to be as cheap or as easy to get going, and it's going to take more money to get going on Google Ads for yourself and more time, than trying to start a business selling furnace filters that nobody gives a shit about. And even if you can get that business working, you might be able to make $500,000 a year in sales once it's totally maxed out, and make a $50,000 a year income running a business like that. So you can try to go for the big money, where you're going to make millions upon millions of dollars of profit every year off of Google Ads, and know that it takes more money to get it going initially, which of course doesn't really have to take much money. You just have to be able to be more patient, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Or you can go after the stuff that will basically work right away, but the upward potential on what you're doing is much, much less than what you would with other types of businesses. That's business in a nutshell, right? You can go after markets that have bigger sales potential. Those are you're going to be competing with big dogs that have real money. Versus the small businesses, the big dogs don't even care about those businesses because there's not enough meat on the bone there to even worry about it. So what I always advise people that are trying to get into business is go after one of those small niches that are overlooked, make money there, going into a more competitive business that has more money at stake, then use that to get into a big dog niche. So you have to start somewhere, but you can't just always or long-term rely on those small businesses. You just use it to build up. And then even if you had less money than that, you start out doing services online, and then use that to start an e-com business, and then that e-com business where you're selling like the furnace filters, you use that to start out a business where you're selling printer toner, which is more competitive, and then use that to start a business where you're selling blinds that everybody needs, and that there's millions upon millions to be made every year just in profit in a business like that, if you can get your campaigns work and to compete. So anyway, I'll put all that in the frame of reference for you here, give you a few examples of different markets where we started out with different amounts of money, so you understand by the end of the video what it's actually going to take for you in terms of resources to get this thing started and what's a good budget. So I have clients that come to my ad firm all the time and they ask, how much do I need to get started? I always tell them somewhere between $1,000 and $3,000. If you have more money than time, just start out with the $3,000 because you're going to get to your end destination quicker. If you have more time than money, then start with $1,000 a month. Technically, if you wanted to start out with $1 a day, you could do that. It's just going to take longer to hit to the point of profitability because what you actually have to have with your ads is a certain amount of data accumulated in your account for Google to understand how to run your ads profitably and to take your ads seriously, because most people are in and out of Google Ads in 3 months and they don't think you're going to be around by default, because 90% of people are in and out like that. So you have to earn your spot to get in front of the best, highest converting people on Google, and you have to show to Google's algorithm that you have an ad that can get a higher click-through rate and a page you're taking them to that can get a higher conversion rate than most of the people you're competing against, to really want to push your ads in the profitable spots and charge you way less per click so that everything can be super profitable. So you're basically paying your way to get in, and with that you can't expect it to make money for a while. And the question is just how long is it going to take? And the more profit that is at stake in your market, the longer it's basically going to take, and more money it's going to take up front to earn that status with Google to where you actually can expect to start making money. So that $1,000 to $3,000 a month is for the USA. If you're international, Europe, Australia, you could certainly could be half of that. And if you're talking about, like China or some other place, you could be talking about $100 to $300 US per month. So just to put it in a frame of reference here better for you. But anyway, the answer as to whether you want to go with $1,000 or $3,000 or $100, or if you could get by with $100 a month, I only say a minimum of $1,000 because people have to pay our agency, so it makes no sense to go less than that. But not only that, I don't want it to take 10 years to get some traction either. But whether you start with $1,000 or $3,000, which is the general range of where everybody starts out, not only that comes to our firm, but typically the big dog you see advertising in your space now, like I said, he probably started out with $3,000 a month. You just don't see that. Started 6 years ago. But whether you do $1,000 or $3,000 a month depends on how big your company is at the moment, I would say, more than anything, because if you can afford to lose $1,000 a month, you invest $1,000 a month. If you can afford to lose $3,000 a month, you invest that because you're going to get to initial point of profitability quicker and get to the end point where you're running your ads at maximum speed and at maximum budget quicker. Invest basically what you can afford to lose. If you're doing $500,000 a year and you're only going to invest $1,000 a month in ad spend, that's ridiculous because your time is worth money as well. So why not just throw the $3,000 a month at it? Versus if you're just a startup, you're making $50,000 a year. Certainly $1,000 a month is more probably suitable for you because it's a much smaller percentage of your overall sales revenue. You want to invest as much as you can, but not so much that if your ads don't work in the time that I say that they're going to work for you here, that you're still sitting pretty. It doesn't going to matter if it takes 3 months or 6 months because that's trivial. You can afford to go an extra 3 months without it being profitable yet because you're making way more than that, and that's not a big deal. And that's the way that you got to look at it, because there's going to be a period of time where your ads aren't working profitably. You'll get sales, but they won't be profitable after ad spend, after all your expenses for a while. You got to be able to weather that so you get to the other side of profitability, and then once that happens, it's all just a downhill slide because it keeps getting more and more and more profitable from there. So if you can afford to spend $1,000 a month and have it not affect your business, and therefore if it takes 6 months or 12 months for it to work, yeah, it's just what it takes, then you're good. That's the number you want to go with. If you can spend $3,000 and still feel the same way, then you go $3,000 because you're going to get to the point where you're spending $50,000 a month and making $5 million a year down the road quicker than you would have started out with only $1,000 a month. You need enough budget so that if your campaign doesn't end up being profitable until literally a year after starting your ads, you don't want to. It is what it is, and you're not going to have wasted all your time and money setting it all up. Because how ridiculous would it be if you run out of money at month 6 because it's not quite profitable yet, and you don't have any money and you just wasted all your time? Because if you shut off your ads and then have to come back later when you got money again to turn back on, you're going to lose all your momentum. You want enough where you could just keep it on until it works. And that's just the reality. So how long this is going to take to get it to where you hit profitability, given you should start getting sales the first month, regardless of what you're doing, depends on the competitiveness of your niche and the money at stake that if in terms of getting ads to work, what you can actually make on the top end, like I was saying before. So at the top of Google, by the way, there's 4 ads. There's really 10 people probably cycling out of those 10. There's 10 people cycling in and out of those top 4 spots. Google's always trying to figure out who deserves to be there and for what specific people. Because even if you target a keyword like big red shoes, they're trying to figure out, does this ad do better for males versus females, or does this person's ad do better with males versus females in terms of click-through rate and then conversion rate on the clicks that you get on your ad? Because Google wants to give the best possible experience to their users so that people don't ignore ads in the future. And they're always testing. And when there's 10 ads, or there's 10 people trying to go for those top 4 spots, it obviously makes it more expensive and harder to get to work initially, because there's more demand for the ad space, but more importantly, there's probably more people there that have already ran their ads for many years already, and they have many years worth of data built up in their ad account as to what's worked and what hasn't worked, because Google, has already found out that your ad works better for male versus female, or this time of the day versus that time of the day, or this device versus that device, or this city versus that city. And they just have that advantage going in. So that's why when you start out, you have to expect your ads to not work, because you have a major disadvantage against the people that have already spent that money and already been running their ads for years. It shouldn't keep you away from it. You should just know there's going to be you're going to be paying to play at the beginning, not expecting a return until a minimum amount of time has went by. And like I said, if you're talking about running ads for a personal injury lawyer in LA, where you can make several million a year getting your campaign profitable, versus you're selling stickers for light switches where there's a very tiny market, you're talking about 18 months maybe potentially at $3,000 a month to get your campaign working versus $1,000 a month and 3 months to get your campaign working. It's that big of a difference. So the bigger the reward, the more it's going to take up front in terms of investment of ad spend to hit the point of profitability with your starting ad spend. And basically times the competitiveness, because you could have a market where you could make 10 million a year, but if there's only one other company doing what you do and there's demand for what you have, then it's not going to take 18 months. It's still going to take 3 months still, because there's no competition. It's just, you can assume you're going to have to invest a shitload of money up front to get something that will work, that will bring in many, many millions in sales and profit for you a year. And there's already 10 people cycling in and out of those top 4 spots, because they have a major advantage of time and data behind their ad accounts over you than what you have for your own accounts. You would think by default, by the way, Google would be able to take the learnings from other advertisers that advertise on the keywords you want to advertise on and then apply it to your account, and they don't. They treat you like a totally new person, and you've got to build up all that awareness about what works for your company versus doesn't work in the search engine in terms of placement and all of that. And ultimately, Google, like I said, doesn't give you favorable treatment in the placements of where you show up on Google search. Even though you bid on a keyword, drain cleaner products, if that's your keyword you're targeting, and there's already 4 ads at the top of Google you see show up for that keyword, ultimately Google's going to send the person that's most likely to convert for that keyword to the other people that are already there. Why? Because they know the ads that convert well off of that, and they know you're probably just going to be a flash in the pan. You're going to be there for a month expecting to get rich, and if you don't, you quit, because that's 90% of people of what they expect and do. So they're not going to immediately push the other ads out of the way just for you, because they know you're not going to be around anyway. So, and they want to provide a consistent user experience for their users, and their testing doesn't like a lot of volatility like that going on. So you literally get a small trickle of traffic, and the traffic you get is going to be like the poorest quality traffic possible, because they look at everything people do while they use Google for years. And they kind of know the person who searches for drain cleaning. They basically know the difference between somebody who searches for a drain cleaning product as a search and clicks on an ad and buys versus doesn't buy, because they were able to track what that person did for years leading up to making that actual search. Their ad serving algorithm looks at the people who buy versus doesn't buy, and they are able to split the buyers versus the non-buyers thousands of times in terms of their traits, their past purchase history on other sites, their past browsing history. Did they go to a competitor site before they made that search? Did they not? All of these different factors. And so they pretty much know who's going to convert and who doesn't, and they give that better quality traffic more likely to convert to the guy that's been there for years already before they give it to you. And the only reason why they want to give it to you is because you prove your ad has a higher click-through rate and a higher conversion rate than the ads that are there, because that will give a better experience to their users, and they'll only slowly test you out at first because they assume your ad's dog shit, like most ads are that go in the 90% of people who are in and out on Google that spend 5 minutes trying to set up their campaign and think that's all it takes to get rich on Google ads is to do that. And they're so excited about getting started, they don't care about how good it is, and which is not going to be you. And they're going to slowly test out your ads, and because you put time and effort into your ads to make the ads better than the competition that you're being directly measured against, that are going after your same keywords and the landing page in terms of the conversion rate and you being measured against all the other people that are advertising on your keywords, they're going to see that your ad performs better on those two metrics, slowly give it more and more traffic, and eventually give you a ton of traffic, of which most of the good quality traffic, and now your ads are profitable because you basically paid your way in and you had the right ad and the right landing page. So it really does pay to go in with the right setup instead of just trying it. And what people will do is they'll say, oh, I'll work on my ads and everything if it works. Well, it ain't gonna freaking work until you actually put together a good ad, because there's no shortage of people, assuming your market's competitive, there's no shortage of people who want those customers. People who get them is the people that scratch Google's back, scratch their users' back, give them the better experience out of the other people that are doing it there. They let people come in, have a chance to do better than the current people advertising in terms of click-through rate, conversion rate. People that are able to do it, they give them more, the business that was going to somebody else to them. If not, they price your ads so high per click that your cost per clicks, they charge you so much per click that your ads can't be profitable. And it's really that simple. You not only get a higher percentage of the good quality traffic once they see you have a higher click-through rate and a higher conversion rate, they also charge you way less per click along with it to encourage you to stay around. They want you to come in when they know you're hot, you have a great ad, great landing page, they want you to stick around and charge you like a third or a fourth or a fifth of what you were charged per click starting out. That's why you can't expect to make money up front. So I drew this little chart to kind of to demonstrate what you can expect. There's a lot of money that can be made in your market, and there's a lot of people vying for those customers, i.e. you search for your keywords and you always see 4 ads at the top of Google basically. And where getting everything right in your market and maxing out ads on Google search for your market, you can make $10 million a year profit. It's going to take way more time than going after something where you can make $100,000 a year profit. Unless, like I said, there's nobody that can deliver what you deliver right now, and then that basically negates out the amount of the reward in terms of total sales and profit that can be squeezed out of that market running Google ads successfully at a full rate in your market. So the more money that's in it in your market by running the Google ads, and the more competitive it is, the more time it basically is going to take to be able to get your ads initially profitable, that initial $1,000 to $3,000 a month profitable, so you can get to the next level where you're spending $1,500 a month and then $2,000 a month and so on and so forth. So, and you're talking about, when I say it's going to take some time to get working, in a very competitive market, you're going to be, like I said before, spending $3,000 a month, not $1,000, just to get started, and it's going to take 18 months for it to initially, so it's going to take 18 months for it to start basically being profitable. So your $3,000 a month takes 18 months to be profitable. Now you're talking about a $50,000 investment just to get the initial $3,000 a month working. You technically could, instead of spending $3,000 in that very competitive market, you could spend $1,000. But all that's going to happen here, by the way, is instead of 18 months, it's going to take you, 54 months. It's just going to lengthen the time. So it's not about time. It's about number of clicks that it takes to gather the minimum amount of data for Google, going back to what I was saying before, to know your ads are better and start giving you the better quality traffic and charging you way less per click. On the flip side, if there's not much money in a market, or there's basically no competition, but yet still high demand, now you're talking about that $1,000 a month being enough, and after 3 months, you can already have your campaign profitable already. So that's literally the difference between taking $50,000 for a campaign to just get it off the ground and start to be profitable, where it's paying for itself and you're growing the ad spend and the sales just from what the initial investment in ad spend was producing, and something not competitive / not much money to be made in that market. We're talking about a $3,000 initial investment until the campaign's growing on its, just through the profit it's spending off in and itself already to grow the ad spend and the sales. So that gives you a kind of a spectrum of kind of what this is, what to expect going into Google Ads to determine what your budget is, but more importantly, how long that budget's going to have to be invested before you're making money. If it was the days basically where you could start an ad account and tomorrow you have enough sales to keep the ad spend going on day 3 is over. I've been around long enough to see that. I started running Google Ads in 2005. I've seen it. That stopped, being where that was possible back in like 2012, 2013, and it's gotten worse since then. You have to come in and not just show up, but you have to be able to do better than the competition that's there, like I said, if there is competition, click-through rate, conversion rate, and then on top of that, you still have to wait some time because Google's system's driven off of the algorithm, and their algorithm still either isn't going to give you the better quality traffic or good quality traffic right away, or there's no competition and it's going to still have to figure out where your ads should exactly show up because it's not so cut and dry. You can't just show up for this exact search phrase anymore because their system doesn't allow it. So anyway, that gives you a general idea. Now, I also wrote this chart here to kind of also spell out the same thing. If you're in a market where there's not a lot of money to be made and it's just kind of, there's not a lot of competition, you might be talking about between just $1,000 and $3,000 to get your campaigns initially profitable so you can start growing the ad spend just with the profit the campaign makes, okay? If you're talking about easy to intermediate difficulty in terms of, what money that's at stake, how bad people want it, you're talking about $3 to $10K of an initial ad spend to get to where you're initially profitable on your initial $1 to $3K that you're going to start out with. Because like I said, it's not time, it's about money spent into the system to gather the data and the credibility from Google and the understanding from Google on know how to get you the customers the right way. If we're talking about an intermediate business where there's like some decent money in that business to be had if you were to get campaigns to work, but not super a lot, you're talking about $10,000 to $25,000 of initial ad spend to hit where it's breaking even already. If you're talking about something that's got medium to a lot of money involved in it, you're talking about $25,000 to $50,000 a month of ad spend, or total ad spend to get it to where it breaks even already. So it's self-financing its growth. And then if you're talking about hard, such as like if you were trying to take on what blinds.com is doing, selling blinds online, that would be hard to do And that would take at least $50,000 worth of ad spend initially to get it profitable. Why? Because Blinds.com, the leader in that space, as is the top 2 or 3 people in that space, are spending $200,000, $300,000 a month in ad spend. So they've got tens of millions of dollars worth of ad spend and data collected in their account to know exactly where the customers are and where Google understands where the customers are for them. And there's people that try all day long to try to tap into that, and they're over their heads, and they're in, they're out, and they're not going to give you much of the good quality traffic for a long time. So that gives you kind of an idea here. Like I said, if you're kind of, if you don't like what I'm saying here, then you just pick a smaller niche to go after and make money there. Or if you're in a business you can't change your business you're in, find another service or product that you could do on the side and then use that, focus 100% on that up front. But anything that was good, Google Ads can make millions of dollars if you just get your ads to work and then eventually scale up your ads so they're running full time, as strong, as much as you can. Of course there's millions of dollars in it. You're not going to get into something like that for $1,000. I mean, that would just, it defies logic. If that's all it took, one of your employees could just quit and start their own ad account up, put a shitty site together, and why would they need you? You don't want to be in a business like that to begin with. Otherwise, you're going to have problems with employees doing that exact thing. You want to be in something that, in other words, once this is working, you're going to be happy that there is this moat around getting into Google Ads in the first place. You don't want it to be easy for new guys who can start out, who just quit their job and don't need the same profit margins you do, and will undercut you on Google Ads because they just don't have enough the startup money with Google Ads to get it initially profitable. You'll be glad that you had to go through this. I would rather have it be like this than the old days where you could spend $1,000 and get started, because that was hell in terms of new people. You had to worry about new players all the time at that point in time. Now it's gotten to the point where you can literally watch in different markets. There'll be a new guy, he'll be there for 3 months, he's gone. Another guy will pop up, he's there for 3 months, and each time the cost per click goes up a little bit, but you always don't have to worry because they're just going to leave shortly, because everybody's expectation is that it's not going to take very much time for it to work, and you don't need to spend any money setting up your ads the right way and your landing pages the right way. They don't want to hire an expert like me to come in to do it the right way, because they don't want it to be hard. They don't want it to cost a lot of money. The reality is Google don't give a shit about what you want. They just want their users to get the best experience. You either come heavy or you don't come at all with Google Ads nowadays. Now, another thing to mention here, okay? Lifetime value of a customer. If you're in a business that has a lot of repeat customers, you can't expect the amount of money you make on the initial sale to pay for your ad spend. Because again, if it were that easy, somebody else would be doing it, and it would be easy for someone to take it away from you once they had it. So there's a lot of markets like where you're selling lotion, perfume, diet shakes, where the value of a customer, acne cream, the value of a customer is over an average of 7 repurchases of the product. On a campaign like that, you usually need to get to sale number 3 before you're breaking even, and then sales 4, 5, 6, 7 is pure profit. And so if you're trying to get into a market like that using Google Ads, you're going to get into it, if you're not thinking about this the way that, the right way, you're going to say, what the hell? How the hell do they afford to do this? The way that they afford to do this is they look back at their customer, their accounting system. They divide the total number of customers they've ever had by the total number of purchases they've ever had, or total revenue divided by the total number of customers that they've ever had, and they understand what the average revenue per customer is, and then they break that down in terms of what they can pay to get the customer based upon their average expected lifetime value, so you get what I'm saying, because over 7 purchases, they realize that they're going to get $200 with the sales revenue over time versus the $30 revenue that they're going to get on their initial purchase, so that they know instead of being able to spend $6 to get a purchase off of Google Ads, they can really spend $20 to get a purchase, which totally changes the dynamics of it to the point where it actually can work. Because if you don't think that way, the big dogs that are already making all the money are going to think that way, and you're just not going to be able to understand how they're doing it, and you're not going to get those customers, and they're going to make the millions, and you're not. See, just because you have simple, flawed, false thinking. And there's a lot of entitlement. People think that they should just be able to make money on the initial purchase, and that's just the way that it is. Google Ads was like that 10 years ago. It's not like that anymore. Everybody in your niche knows about Google Ads today. The people who get all those customers are the people who are thinking about it the right way, and then they're acting accordingly. They understand what the lifetime value of a customer is. They're willing to pay more for a customer because of that. So, because of that, if you just value the customer for their lifetime value and not just be like, well, I don't know what a customer's worth. Some customers that are worth 10 million and ones that are worth $1, because I get that all the time at my firm. And the answer to that is total customers divided by total revenue. Average revenue per customer. Done. And some are worth this. It's stupid to think that way. You need to think about, just do it the way that I said, because you have to. Otherwise, Google Ads is not going to make sense financially, because you're never going to make enough money on the initial purchase to cover what it costs to get the customer when you've got other people that are thinking the correct way competing against you. Respectively, you're just going to have to know you're valuing the customer for all their future expected purchases, and then you're going to wait for the return. Well, because the return takes a while for you to actually get the other 7 purchases that you on average get from a customer when you get one from Google Ads, you may have to start out at this $1,000 a month for a lot longer. It might have to be 2 years before you can raise your ad spend enough, because the initial customers you're not going to reach your third repeat buy until an average of 24 months in the future. But at least if you start the process now, you'll get there, and then you'll eventually, it's just like going on a diet or working out. You could say, well, it takes so long to get in shape, so I'm just never going to do it. Or you could just get off your butt and realize that it'll be worth it at the end of the 5 years that you started now, because in 5 years you're going to be pissed you never started it now. And it's worth it to do it every time. You just have to invest some time and money and effort into it up front to just even get to the end goal. And because it is hard, it will actually have value when it's said and done with. So you'll just have to start at a lower spend up front. But if you use that same fundamental rule that I said, don't invest more than you can afford to lose, you're not going to run into a problem, because you can wait 12 months. You can wait 24 months if necessary for those purchases to come back in, the third, fourth, whatever purchases to come in, so that you get the return, you actually realize the return from the customers you're getting on Google Ads, and now you can afford to finally reinvest that money back into ad spend. If you are valuing the customer for what they're really worth, not what they're initially buying on the initial purchase, you'll be able to afford to spend more than the average customer. As a result of that, you'll be able to be the one that makes it work, versus everybody else will expect it to work immediately and not have to wait for the customer to come back 3 times. And you'll get the customers and they won't. And it's really that simple. So I wanted to throw that point in there as well. So in summary here, $1,000 to $3,000. If you're in something super competitive, I'd recommend $3,000. Otherwise, you're going to be waiting a way long time to gather enough initial data to be profitable so that you can start scaling your ad spend more. But technically, so with that said, you have everything you need to know about how much you need to spend on Google Ads per month, per day. You can think about it per day, per month, breaks out to the same thing. $1,000 to $3,000 a month, divide those numbers by 3, and you got your daily spend per day that you should need to spend just to get things off the ground. If you like the video here, I really would appreciate it if you would give the video a like and consider subscribing, as I have a ton of other content on this channel that'll tell you physically how to set up your ads to get the better numbers, the better click-through rate, the better conversion rate. It's all here, and it's coming from somebody who does ad strategy all day long. This is all I do. It's better than all the other professional YouTubers trying to talk about the same thing, and core sellers and other stuff that don't actually have their hands dirty and doing this stuff on a daily basis. Trust me on that. With that said, I also have a blog at guaranteedppc.com/blog where you can also find my work, my written work, as well as on my column that I have at entrepreneur.com. You'll like the channel, you'll also love my written work, actually even more. It's even more valuable. So with that said, you should check that out as well. Beyond that, if you have any questions about anything I covered here today, or any other ad-related questions, feel free to leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel, just as a way to give back for watching my channel here. With that said, if you are looking for an ad manager now or ever in the future, this is exactly what I do. I work directly with my clients, and I actually guarantee the results for their campaigns, in that if we decide that we are going to work together, we can guarantee you a certain amount of minimum sales lift on your campaigns at the current ad spend before charging any fees. There's no catch other than we got to know that we can get good results with your campaigns and want to work together because of that. But if you want to see if we can work together, just reach out to my firm at guaranteedppc.com. I'll be happy to give you a free analysis. Beyond that, if you are looking for results and you don't want to work with an ad manager like myself, you can use our campaign templates that we use to get results in your industry already. We sell those for a one-time fee, and we've worked in 100+ markets now, so chances are we've worked in your market. And if we have, using the ad templates that we used in a different geographic market that you could simply apply to your account, the ads, the landing pages, all of that, would just shortcut the entire learning process that we had to go through to figure out what works in your market. And we can tell you what results we had up front in a different market, so you basically know what our templates can do for you in your market before you even bought the templates. So it would be an absolute shame not to use our templates that we already got results with in your market if we've worked in your market before. You can reach out to me at my firm at guaranteedppc.com if you're interested in that as well. We got people using the templates to start side businesses, lead selling businesses, get into e-commerce if they were never in e-commerce before, that kind of thing, because they're all proven campaigns. It's pretty easy to mess up a business when you have a template that works in a certain market. With that said, a couple other things I want to mention before I wrap this video up. Beyond that, we are offering a partnership with our agency as well. So if you do not like paying monthly agency fees to a PPC agency like us to help you with your PPC and other online ads, we do partnerships in that we can take 1 to 10% of your sales revenue, a growth in addition to whatever sales you have already now. And it'll be a long-term partnership, but we'll do everything that you need as far as your ads to get your sales to grow, and we'll just take the cut on the sales growth that you get. If you're interested in that kind of a partnership, we've done it with several companies now, of which are doing extremely well, which we could name once you actually reach out and inquire about that at our firm. So if you're interested in that, you can also reach out to me at my firm at guaranteedppc.com. As a side, if you are not looking for that, we have one other way we work with clients as well, by the way, which is you just simply reach out to us, let us know that we can work on your stuff and share it with the community here on YouTube, and we'll charge you absolutely no fees for that whatsoever. So whereas we normally charge thousands of dollars to get clients guaranteed results at our firm, you can get all the same results just as simply in exchange for us being able to publicly broadcast whatever we're doing on your campaigns that's working to our channel here. If you're interested in that, we are taking applications for that as well. You can reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com as well for that if you're interested, and see if we can work together in that kind of capacity. But with that said, I'll wrap it up with that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. It was educational for you, and I'll see you on the next one. See you later.